Hello and welcome to Byte Basics. I'm Earl Yeager. Today on Byte Basics we're going to be talking about keyboard shortcuts. And what keyboard shortcuts are those key combinations that people use in order to help speed up the things they're doing on the computer. So there's a lot of these little quick keyboard shortcuts that people use, and you don't always get to see what it is they're doing, but they do things like copy and paste, switch windows, save, print, all kinds of different options that are available. So I'm going to walk you through several of them that are out there and available that you can use. Some of the most common ones people make use of on a regular basis. Okay? So if you look with me over on my computer screen here, I'll start showing you some of the things that we normally do with these keyboard shortcuts. So the most common ones that people generally use are things like copy and paste. So if I wanted to take something from this web page and put it onto my Word document, I would want to copy and paste. And we can always do what we normally do and highlight and then right click and choose copy. But the keyboard shortcut is what we're going to look at today. So you'll notice when I right click, copy has at the end of it this Control-C combination. Control-C is the combination for copying. So if we're wanting to copy something, we would highlight it, and then we can use the keys on the keyboard, Control-C, and that will copy it. Now I'm going to go to my Word document and I'm going to paste that in. Now when it comes to pasting, I normally would right click and choose the paste option. Well, the keyboard shortcut for paste is Control-V. So we're going to go ahead and do Control-V as in Victor. So when I paste that in with Control-V, it pops up just like I had done right click and paste. So sometimes those can be used to very quickly help you cut and paste. So again, copy is Control and the C key. So I'm going to select the next section of text here. And I'm going to do Control and the C key for copy. And then I'll go back to my Word document. And then Control-V like in Victor to paste. And that will paste that in. Now, you notice I'm clicking down here to switch between Word and my web browser. So I'm clicking on the bottom to switch between Word and my web browser. Well, there's another keyboard shortcut that can be used for switching windows. If you hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and the Tab key, you can do Alt, Tab, and it will bring up this window here that lets me see the different open windows on my computer. And I can use Alt, Tab to switch between windows on my computer. So I can do Alt, Tab once to switch to my Word document, Alt, Tab again to switch back to my web browser. So using those, I can very quickly swap back and forth between them. So if there was things I wanted to copy and paste, maybe I wanted to copy and paste this next school, I can do Control-C, then Alt-Tab to go back to my Word document, Control-V to paste, Alt-Tab to go back to my web page, select the next part, Control-C to copy, Alt-Tab to switch back, Control-V to paste. So you can use that as a very quick way to switch between web pages or open documents. So I can do Alt-Tab to switch and then Alt-Tab again to switch. So that's a very quick way to switch between documents that are open on your computer. Now there's a couple of other ways you can do that. Another way of doing that is using the Windows key and the Tab key together. So Windows Tab will work a little differently. So when I do Windows Tab, it brings it up in this format. And when I switch between it, it has this nice visual look that when you page through, you can very quickly see which pages you're on. And then I can use that to switch between them again. I actually have to press it once to bring up this screen. While I'm doing this, I'm holding down the Windows key. As soon as I let go of the Windows key, it comes back. So I have to keep the Windows key down, and then each time I press Tab, it switches to the next one. So it's Windows Tab, and then I Tab to keep going through. And then all the time I'm holding the Windows key down, and as soon as I find the one I want, I let go of the Windows key and it brings that one up. Alt-Tab will bring up this little window here, and I tab my way through. I'm keeping the Alt key down, and as I go through, I'm selecting the one I want. You'll notice that it highlights the one that we're on. As soon as I find the one I want, I let go of the Alt key. So Alt-Tab brings that up. Tab again will go to the next document. Keep tabbing to the next document until you find the one you want. Let go of the Alt key, and now you're on that particular document. So that's a quick way to swap between the different pages that are open on your computer. Okay, some other options for things that we can do. As you're working on a document, sometimes it's a good idea, well, always it's a good idea to save often. So if you want to save your document while working on it and not have to go ahead and click on the File menu and choose the Save option to save your progress so far, you can use the Control key and press the S button to save. It won't show you anything, it won't give you any kind of a notification that it's saving, but if you go ahead and look at my screen, we'll go ahead and do that together. So if I wanted to save this document, I'll do Control S, and if you'll notice down here, this is a very small document, so it goes very quickly. When I do Control S, when there's been some changes, down in this area of my screen, it will very quickly, very briefly pop up the notification that it's saving. So you don't really get to see it very long because of how small the document is. But Control S is a very quick way to save as you go along. So I highly recommend, as you're typing on a document, especially if it's a long document, you use that Control S regularly as a quick way to make sure you're saving your progress and don't lose what's going on. Once your document's finished and you're ready to print it out, you can always go to the File menu and hit Print, but there's a keyboard shortcut for that as well. Control P is going to let you print. So if you go back to my screen here, we'll go ahead and do Control P, and that will bring up the print dialog. So if you want to be able to print a document, you can go to the File menu and the Print option, just as you might normally do. But if you want to very quickly do it, you can just do Control P, bring that up, make sure to select the printer you want, and then hit OK, and it will print your document. Other options that are available to you, Control can be used for text formatting. So I can do Control B to bold, Control I for italics, and Control U to underline. And if you press it a second time, it takes that option away. So I can use Control I to italicize or unitalicize, U to underline or ununderline, or B to bold or unbold. So I can use Control B, Control U, and Control I for text formatting purposes, and that works in most programs that you're allowed to type in. Some web pages that doesn't work on, but a lot of your other programs, Word, other programs that have bold functions will recognize those features. So you'll have those options as well. Some other useful tools that you might want to run across. The Windows key has a few other little hidden things that you can use. These only work with Windows 7 and newer, so if you're on an older computer like a Windows XP machine, this would not work for you, so just to be aware of that. But there's a feature in Windows 7 and up called Snap, and what we can use that for is adjusting where our window is located. So if you look at my screen again here, if I was comparing two different documents, I might want one on the left and one on the right. So if I hold down the Windows key on the keyboard and I use the left arrow, this document will snap to the left-hand side. I can then choose a different document, say my web page, and use the Windows key and the right arrow to snap it to the right-hand side. And now I have these two documents side by side, which lets me very quickly compare and contrast. So if I'm looking at information on one of these pages and I'm wanting to compare it to the other, I can very quickly use that to compare and contrast. Now, if I want this to go back to full screen, I can use the maximize button here at the top, but again, we're talking about keyboard shortcuts, so I'm going to go ahead and use the Windows key, and using the up arrow will maximize it to full screen. So I can use that. I'm going to Alt-Tab, my other one, back over to my web page, and I'm going to use Windows up arrow to make that full screen again. Okay? So Windows up is your maximize. It makes something full screen. Windows down, Windows with the down arrow, will minimize a document. So if I want it minimized, I can press the Windows key and the down arrow, and it will then minimize the document. So you can utilize that to maximize and minimize documents that you have there. So I can go ahead and swap between them, maximize them, minimize them, all of those different options. So you have lots of different ways you can manipulate the windows on your computer that way. Some of the other keyboard shortcuts that are out there that we might want to look at, undo and redo. Those are really common things that we do a lot. So if I'm undoing a process here, maybe I'm wanting to undo copying and pasting. So I'm going to go ahead and copy something, and I will then, I used Control C to copy, and I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to do Control V to paste. So Control C copy, Control V paste. Now that I have it here, I think, you know what, I've got that duplicated. I don't want that there. I'm going to undo what I did. Control Z is an undo. Control Z, undo. That takes away anything you just did. And that works in most programs as well. So if in doubt, you can always do Control Z to undo your last action, whatever it is. To redo your your previous action, you would do Control Y. So Control Y puts it back. So anything you've undone, you can use Control Y to redo. So if I do Control Y again, it's not going to work because I'm not undoing my last action there. So my last action in this case, it was hitting return. Control Y will hit that for me. Well, in this case, it was a delete. So Control Y would repeat the delete. So if I delete something, Control Y will keep deleting as well. So you have those different options there. So Control Y is redo. Will redo the last action you did. And Control Z is undo. So it will undo the last action you did. So if I delete something, I can do Control Z to bring it back, and then Control Y to re-delete it. So you have that option of undo and redo there. So those are some of your keyboard shortcuts, the most common ones I've seen used. Hopefully those will be useful tools for you as you're trying to get things done on your computer and maybe speed some things up for you. So this has been Byte Basics. Have a wonderful day.